Welcome back. It's been a wild year for markets all over the world. The election of Donald Trump, oh, you remember that old thing, combined with plunging oil prices, created a lot of uncertainty on the trading floor. And that really is a trend you can expect to continue into the new year, into 2017. But no one has been watching the tickers quite like BNN's John Erlichman, who joins me today to discuss, John, the top 5 business stories of the year. Good to see you.
Good to see you. Let's do it.
Okay, let's start with number 5. What's your number 5?
Yeah, well, in counting down, number 5 for us is the marijuana industry. Now, you guys have talked about this over the last few weeks, the fact that this task force in Canada came together with this plan for the legalization of marijuana, and Parliament will table that next year. So we'll see how that goes. But the other story is all the businesses and the industry that's been rallying around that expectation. It's been a wild story in the stock market. It's kind of a gold rush feel. There's winners, there's losers, but there's a lot of companies that want to make it big. And just to give you a sort of an idea of the numbers behind this, the biggest player right now, a company called Canopy Growth, wants to be sort of the premier distributor, if you will, had a valuation in the market a couple of years ago of around $80 million. Now that was seems pretty big. Now it's more than $1 billion. Wow. And they're going out and they're buying their rivals. So there's all these stocks that are trading based on all this excitement. Not a lot of companies making lots of money yet. So buyer beware in the stock market. But that was one of our top stories for sure.
You mentioned the market. Number 4, TSX.
This is incredible. I mean, I don't think anyone who was sitting here this time last year would have said the Canadian stock market, it's going to plow ahead. It's going to outperform all the other markets largely in North America, and that's been the case. And a few things have happened. I mean, you referenced oil. At the lowest levels of this year, oil was around $25. It's doubled. So energy stocks have been hot with investors. There were concerns for the banking sector, which had exposure to the energy group. Those stocks, however, have been big winners. So people have been buying bank stocks and oil stocks. They've been buying gold stocks because gold has recovered as well. And now the TSX is up 17.5% this year. It's up 30% off the lows of this year. There's only one stock market globally, the Brazilian stock market, that has done better than the TSX.
That's interesting. Okay, you mentioned oil. Let's talk pipelines, because that's number 3. I feel like we're sort of on repeat with the pipeline conversation.
Well, yeah, and obviously there's a lot of contentious issues with the pipelines, and it's not just in Canada, it's in the U.S. as well, and obviously a lot of concerns on the environmental front when pipelines get approved. But if you take a market like Alberta, and the fact that oil prices dropping led to a lot of job reductions. We saw the wildfires in Fort McMurray. And even as we've navigated through all that, the unemployment rate in Alberta is still 9%. So pipeline approvals can create jobs, and that can help the Canadian economy. So the Trans Mountain approval, which the Prime Minister gave the thumbs up to recently and allows oil to get from Alberta to the Pacific Ocean, that's a big deal for the economy if it truly goes ahead as planned. And then you have Donald Trump talking about approving Keystone, potentially. So that'll be a story to watch in 2017.
Hey, Trump, number 2. Let's talk about him. What a story.
Are you noticing that he sort of makes his way into all our top stories, indirectly or directly? I'll tackle this one from a stock market perspective, because heading into the election, when you ask people what happens if Donald Trump wins, they said stock market's going to go down. It might go down 5%, 10%, because the markets don't like uncertainty, and Donald Trump represents uncertainty. And I'll tell you, on election night, I was watching those markets. They were starting to sell off. But then people said, hold on a second, maybe this guy is beneficial for business. And the market has gone.
It was a clear turn, right? You saw them go down, and then it just started to go up.
Absolutely incredible.
Yeah.
We've got record highs for stocks in the U.S. People keep talking about the Dow hitting this level of 20,000, getting pretty close. The Dow Jones Industrial Average has risen roughly 9% since election night alone. It's up about 1,600 points. Who would have thought?
Yeah, who would have thought? Okay, speaking of record highs, what is your number 1?
You know, at the end of the day, housing becomes our number 1 story. And at the end of the day, it also is a no-brainer that it's housing, because housing is a story that affects everyone, whether you own a home or not. We've got record high debt loads for households in this country because a lot of people are taking on bigger mortgages. Why are they taking on bigger mortgages? You guys talk about it all the time. Look at home prices in cities like Toronto, where you've seen, on average, for a detached home in the 416 area code here, more than $1.3 million.
Wild.
70% higher than 5 years ago. In Vancouver, you've got pricing for the average home, $1.5 million. You've seen lots of developments this year, obviously in BC, a foreign home buyer's tax, the federal government trying to change the rules around mortgages. But now you've got mortgage rates going up. So this is the wild card to watch in 2017. If all that impact to cool the market actually cools our overall economy, we'll watch that for sure.